Whether you are divorced, are thinking about going through divorce, or got divorced a long time ago, one of the most important conversations that we can have is how we approach sex after divorce. And today I am joined by my friend, Dr. Tara, to have this conversation with you. Hi, thank you for joining me.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here to talk about the big D.
The big D. Yeah, the scary D.
The scary D.
So you are also a sexual health and wellness professional. You're a doctor of sexual communication. You're also an influencer. And just like me, you are also divorced.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I wanted to have this conversation with you, especially because I think a lot of folks who are either nervous about going through divorce or headed towards divorce or on the other side of divorce, like have experienced an impact on their sex life. And I want them to, first of all, know that they're not alone. We have our own experiences with this.
Millions of people.
Literally, like half of people that get married.
The town I live in is probably like more than half.
So I'm curious, like just off the top, what can you say about sex after divorce? What did you learn about your own sexuality by going from married to divorced?
I think there was a huge shift from like sexual shame and guilt, like I wasn't enough or that like something was wrong with me when I was in my previous marriage, and a huge shift to like, wow, okay, I know who I am. I know what I like. I know that what I like is valid. Thinking about yourself as a sexual being and like your sexual desires as valid sounds very kind of like rudimentary. Like everyone knows that they're valid, right? Like I did not. Like in my marriage, in my previous marriage, there were many times where I thought like I was weird or I'm crazy or I feel guilty that I didn't want to have sex with him. And now with my current marriage, I want to have sex with my husband like all the time, like very regularly, right? So then I realized like, oh, okay, it wasn't like my fault, but it was the fact that we weren't sexually compatible.
Yeah. Do you feel like the reason that you're so sexually excited in your second marriage is partially because of things you learned in your first marriage?
100%.
Or is it also compatibility shifting between your first and second husband too?
Both. Yeah, like I would think you have similar experience, right? Like where it's both. Like you learned a lot from your marriage and getting a divorce, right? Something so it's still like societally taboo, and like also being with someone compatible.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I learned in my first marriage that I would never, ever, ever be in a long-term relationship with someone who wasn't committed to having an active sex life with me. Period. Like even if bodies and stress, and like I understand that these things are going to occur. It doesn't have to be consistent week over week, month over month, but that you're always going to be invested in us having a pleasurable and expansive and, a sex life that has a degree of exploration and joy and like that we both care about. Yes. And my current partner also came out of a long-term relationship where his partner also wasn't wasn't meeting him in that way. And so I think both of us are just so excited to have found each other because we're like, this also matters a lot to me and it matters a lot to you too. Amazing.
Yeah, I love that you said that because to me, after I got a divorce, my thought was I need to be with a person whose level of importance for sex is the same, if not like just 1 degree difference from me.
Yeah.
Like let's say if we were to rate it from 1 to 10, how important is sex in your life? I want my partner's answer to be 8 and above.
Mm-hmm. And because yours is.
Yeah, because mine is. And there is nothing wrong at all with answering 1, 2, 3, or 4, but it's just not a person for me. And with my ex, it was definitely like under 6. So it wasn't important for him. It was important for me. And therefore there was a lot of that kind of weird tension.
What do you think that is maybe the most important thing for people to know if they are reaching out and like starting to have sex again after having been in a relationship, maybe even a relationship that lasted like 2 or 3 decades, and they haven't had sex with a new person in a while?
Build your sexual self-esteem first. By having a lot of sex with a lot of random people, like that will not increase your sexual self-esteem. Trust me, I tried and did not work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, I try to just kind of like myself out of sorrow, instead of facing the truth, trying to build my self-esteem, build my self-worth, and build my self-understanding, because I didn't really understand myself that well. I was just, kind of having my phase of trying different things with different people. And it's totally okay if you enjoy casual sex. There's no shame at all. It's just I did it for the wrong reasons. What I would advise people to do is to focus on building your sexual self-esteem, and that can come in various different practices. So the first one that I really love is sexual meditation. The second one is journaling. The third one is working with like a somatic sex therapist or like a sexological body worker, because a lot of sex is like within your body. It's very visceral. I love therapy, but there are many things that therapy like can't help, and somatic stuff helps, like which is body movement. So I did that. And I also did therapy.
The talking part of it.
The talking therapy, not the somatic movement one. And then I also, I did a lot of like intentional affirmations, positive talk, look in the mirror, talking to myself, writing things down that are like positive about my sexuality. So I did all those things for a long time.
And notice that none of that has to do with another person. All of that is stuff that you do for yourself. Do you think that that system would work as well for a man as it does for a woman?
100%. Yeah, definitely. I mean, in each of these modalities, I have looked into like the research, the literature behind it, as well as like reading up testimonials and personal anecdotes. And I can personally say like these things work for every single human on earth that's wanting to improve their sexual self-esteem.
Yeah, and maybe like it's figuring out your formula.
Yeah.
For me, when I went through my divorce, journaling was a tremendous help.
I love journaling. I just love writing things down.
I don't. I had to force myself to do it. But it was a really good practice for me because I needed to kind of track where I was, what I was feeling, how I was doing, in order also to see my own progress. Because when I went back and read, here's where I was a year ago, I'm like, whoa, I was really in a different place. We are living our life, so we can't see the tiny shifts that are happening day to day.
Yeah.
And without journaling or having some kind of way of keeping track, it can be hard to really like congratulate and celebrate yourself on the progress that you have made or where you are today. Because you're just like, this is where I'm at. I got here very slowly.
Oh my gosh. I mean, a couple weeks ago, I started spring cleaning. And I found my journal from 2019. I'm like almost a completely different person.
Were you married in 2019?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What did you learn from seeing the difference between you then and you now?
I mean, my journal back then was a lot of confusion and looking for manifesting. I was already manifesting, but like manifesting for clarity. Like, please give me some signs. Like, if I see this, I'm gonna do this. If, like just relying so much on like external validation. It doesn't have to be other people, but like the universe or like signs or energy.
Instead of just validation,
instead of just being okay about myself within myself. I did not have that at the time because that was about the time where I was about to embark on that personal development journey.
What would you say to someone who thinks that they maybe want to end their marriage, maybe because they're not sexually satisfied, or maybe it's like an unhealthy relationship, but they're worried about what sex after divorce would be like?
Sex after divorce is incredible. I feel like I'm a poster child of talking about how amazing divorce is, and what a huge opportunity to live the life that you want, that you truly deserve, and that you desire. Right? I would say like it's great.
Yeah. And I would say that, I know a lot of people who are going to be listening are going to say like, but I have kids, or we own a house, or we really like, and this is not to trivialize those things.
Right.
But if you are not sexually satisfied, and sexual satisfaction is not 10 out of 10 for all people, right? But there are some people for whom it is. And they're like, I'm gonna die with regrets if I don't experience more of my sexual self in this lifetime. And there are ways to do that without blowing up your marriage if you have kids and a house and all that. But like, just know that your desires and you being sexually self-expressed is a worthwhile and valid thing. It doesn't make you bad or dirty or wrong to like really need that.
You're not a bad person for divorcing for sexual incompatibility, because that's what I did.
Yeah.
Like, you're completely fine. And I know how that can feel, because at the time I felt really guilty. Yeah. Because I feel like it's such a small problem, right? Like when
we can downplay it. Right.
Yeah.
Same,
like when I was going through it, like I hear from like people around me that's like, oh, this person get like beat by their husband, or like
and you should be grateful,
right? You should be grateful. You're traveling the world.
Your partner loves you. They don't hate you. And you're like, yeah, okay, and I'm willing to roll the dice.
It's really hard to get a divorce from just an okay marriage versus like a terrible marriage.
Yes, I also divorced an okay marriage.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, and while
nothing particularly terrible.
After we were already like said we were getting divorced, and I was at home doing like a Reiki session, and the healer was like, "Wow, it's so brave of you," because a lot of people would have probably just said, "This is good enough."
Good enough.
And up until that moment, I hadn't thought about that, but I was like, "Oh my God, did I make a mistake? What if I never find somebody who is, who I'm more compatible with, or who's a better fit for me?" But I think that's one of the ways in which we keep ourselves small, and we keep ourselves from being willing to like have hope or dream big. And that is one of the ways that we keep ourselves in a victim mentality is like, it'll never get better. I'll never have more. I'm not desirable. I just spent 20 years in a marriage where we weren't having sex. So I'm out of practice. Who even wants me? Like all of those thoughts only will contribute to you not getting what you really want. Right? Like you have to believe and then act on that you actually have the power to have the life and the sex life that you want to have.
I read a study that was talking about how like people who can easily get a divorce are usually risk takers. So if you're someone that take risks often, maybe in your business, in your life, in your personal development, then you're more likely to like see yourself through in a divorce. Like, oh, I can get a divorce. Like it's a viable option.
Interesting, yeah, because you're more
comfortable. But if you're a very
risk.
Safe person, a very conforming person, then it's like the scariest thing on earth.
Right, because you're giving up your certainty. It's like the devil versus the thing that you don't.
Yeah.
So what is one thing that you wish you could go back and tell yourself pre-divorce? What is it one thing that like younger Tara needed to hear about sex in particular?
That you're not wrong or bad or invalid for wanting a better sex life for yourself. Yeah. Because at the time, I really didn't think it was like that important and that I should see through and be in this relationship and be a better wife.
Yeah.
And it was very, very hard emotionally. Not to downplay anything because I'm laughing about it now. Hee hee ha ha, divorce was great. Like it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I've done many hard things. I moved away like thousands of miles from home to a new country to live in a place where English wasn't even my first language. I've done many hard things, but divorce was the hardest thing.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, for me, it felt like admitting defeat. It felt like being a failure, and
it lasted so long.
Yeah. It takes a long time to get divorced. And also it takes a long time to get to the point where, for me anyways, I was like, I will do literally anything to try to sustain this marriage. Like years of therapy, years of counseling, years of coaching, so much money spent, so many
really
tears shed. Yeah. I mean, when you and I met, I was like very deeply in that process. I struggled so much. So when it finally came to that point where I realized there was no other alternative, I had exhausted everything else and divorce was what was meant to be. I wish I could go back and say to her, like, it will not be as hard as you think it's going to be. There will be things that are very, very hard, but they will last only a brief period of time.
Yes.
And the things that you think are going to be difficult forever will not be.
Right.
You think it's going to be hard to date. You think it's going to be hard to find someone who loves you. You think it's going to be hard to find someone who wants to give you the things that you want, who wants to enjoy the things that you enjoy. That will not be hard.
No.
Setting up your own Wi-Fi network will not be hard. I wish I could just smack her and be like, there's an instruction manual, girl. You'll just read it. And for men watching, there's some equivalent of that, right? Like, and having a great professional and friendship community of people who can support you and act as a net is very, very important as well. Like, make sure that you are supported before you leave. But just know that if you have that support in place and you keep the mindset that things will always be getting better, that it doesn't have to be the worst thing that happened to you, and maybe it ends up being the best thing that happened to you.
Yeah, divorce is an opportunity to live the life that you want.
Thank you so much for joining
me. Yeah.
Make sure that you leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject. If you've been divorced, what has sex been like after divorce? Let us know. And while you're down there, make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Bye.